Now let's talk about oil prices. It's on the rise, and this is amid geopolitical tensions in the Middle East. Prices are rising as well as over concerns of tightening supply. There's also expectations about demand growth as economies improve, which also puts upwards pressure on prices. Brent crude oil is trading above $90 for the first time since October. But the real question here is, how is this affecting prices at the pump, right? I spoke to Patrick DeHaan, head of petroleum analysis at GasBuddy. Okay, Patrick, let's cut to the chase. Where are we at when it comes to gas prices?
Well, the national average has continued going up. We stand at about $3.60 a gallon across the U.S. That's the highest we've seen the national average since October of last year, and it probably won't stop as oil prices have continued to climb. Oil now also at its highest level since October. We have not only the seasonal factors pushing gas prices up, but also the rise in the price of oil working against us, and motorists are likely to have to dig deeper in weeks ahead as prices likely are continue going to rise.
Now, this 360, is this something normally we experience at this time, or is this something that is higher than what we experience?
Well, I think it is something we expected to start the year. That is, we predicted that prices for gasoline, the national average, could rise as high as $3.67 in April, and it could rise into the 380s for the month of May before things start to settle down. So it's not largely unexpected, but certainly seeing oil going up alongside of gasoline can be a little bit concerning, as it could cause prices to be a little bit higher than we anticipated earlier this year when we released our 2024 outlook.
What's contributing more? You mentioned a couple of factors here. Is oil contributing more, or another factor?
I'd say it's primarily three seasonal factors that are contributing the primary increase here. Refineries doing maintenance before the summer driving season starts. While they do that maintenance, they're not able to produce as much gasoline. In addition, we've made the switch over to cleaner, more expensive blends of gasoline ahead of the summer. With the exception, the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast haven't made the final jump yet, and they're going to see prices jumping throughout the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast in mid-April. And also demand for gasoline is going up. Things like Easter, spring break travel, the eclipse also pushing demand higher. It's those three factors that are largely behind the increase, but the price of oil now is having some impact as well.
And are we going to see even higher oil prices, Brent crude, for example, hitting $90 a barrel?
I think that's certainly within the realm of possibility. OPEC is largely behind the rise in the price of oil, continuing its extension on production cuts through the second quarter. So OPEC really carefully balancing supply and demand. Global oil inventories have been in decline in response, and that's pushed up oil prices. And now a risk assessment, increasing risk between Israel and Iran developing over the last few days that could continue to put upward pressure on oil too. So that's certainly looking more potential that oil prices could be headed for $90 a barrel in the next couple of weeks.
How much upside is there when it comes to oil? Are we going to see 100?
I think $100 is probably a little bit above where I would expect to see things, but a lot of it really is going to be contingent on OPEC's production cuts, which are now largely expected to be renewed into the third quarter. And of course, largely contingent on that is things like the U.S. economy. Will the Fed start to cut interest rates? Will that spur oil demand in the U.S.? Will it spur demand globally? I think it's not impossible at this point that we could see $100 later this year, but I still think that's probably less than likely.